Hey guys, welcome back to Trekyards. As usual, I'm Captain Foley.
And I'm Commander Cockins. This is the exciting bit of the week where we do a spoiler-filled but neatly edited with full graphics review of the Star Trek Picard continuing show. We're on episode 3, Stuart. What's it called and what did you think? Spoiler-filled! We're there, finally.
So make sure you've seen the episode first, unless you don't mind spoilers, then whatever.
Yeah,
But yeah, this one is episode 3, the end is the beginning.
And I see why they did the title. Makes sense.
Mm-hmm. It's the last part of the pilot, essentially,
Yes.
first 3 episodes. So I gotta say, I really enjoyed this episode. I thought it was better than last week's. Maybe not as good as the first one for me, but it's definitely around the same for enjoyment factor for me.
So we'll go into details in a second, but if you see the spoiler free, I said I didn't like it at all, really. I watched it and I thought it was easily the weakest of the 3 by a steep margin. I didn't enjoy watching it. I watched it, but I didn't enjoy watching it.
I really enjoyed the flashback scene to start it off. I thought that was a great way to do so. And to see the uniforms, to see, I guess Starfleet's not that much different, but there's no Discovery shuttle in that scene. There's a new vehicle, or just yeah. And it's basically the end of Picard's career that we see. She asked him, "Did you tell him about the reserve fleets on this and this we have planned and all the reserve? What about the people? They threw manpower at you, didn't they? But we have the synths." And she gets the news about the synths being all dismantled or banned from now on. And apparently there was an error in the coding.
It's called Romulan hacks.
Yes. It's funny that he didn't tell her right away that he got they accepted his resignation. But I think the scene played out really well, and it was great to see that interaction between the two of them. So it's basically the end of his illustrious Starfleet career that we see. So I really enjoyed that part.
No, yeah, I agree for the most part. The uniforms are great. I loved Patrick's de-aging. He looked great. I kind of wish that was him throughout because he just looked crisper. I don't know. That looked really good. She was great. I love the contrast. To see it because the new character, because she's not the best character deliberately, but it's great. She was like Starfleet, yeah. So you got good that contrast. Although I thought he sort of, if you had written this script for Patrick mid TNG, I don't think I'd write him just lie down and take it. Of my resignation, they took it. I guess I'm giving up now. Like he just gives up. Like there's no more fight. Now I don't know how long the situation's been going on for, but considering the other movies, I guess he's just tired and old feeling. So there was a slight disparity with he just gave up. There should have been one other thing there. Like, I felt guilty about me saying yes to the synth. There should have been one more layer to justify that. So it felt a little bit story-y rather than character-y.
Now, as for the rest of the episode, there was some weird pacing in it for sure. I don't think I didn't enjoy the jump cuts at the end between the Borg artifact and the chateau.
Yeah, it felt kind of disjointed and weird placed.
It did. They were given the same information at the same time, and the way they edited it was kind of a little bit weird for me. So that part I didn't really enjoy too much, I gotta say.
And honestly, I'm getting bored of the chateau.
I am too.
It's not adding anything. And in fact, while the 2 secondary characters are good, I assumed that we would leave the chateau as they go out into space. But we know he goes back to see Seven of Nine. We know there's loads more scenes of the chateau. So now I get the sense this show is going to be very much more catered to Patrick Stewart, who's older, who can't do as much, filming smaller bits in smaller locations, not then we're gone, because he keeps coming back.
Yeah.
And that, we didn't see a lot of what I was going to think. Very little happened this week, and very little stuff I thought was going to happen. It just sort of treaded water this episode. I mean, what did we really get from this episode new?
Well, besides more on Raffi's character, is his...
Yeah, that was the point. But story-wise, what do we get?
Story-wise, we got the captain, Captain Rios, who I really like. I think he's going to be one of my favorite Trek characters. I really dig his character. Plus his emergency holograms. One with an English accent, one with an Irish accent. And he has a bit of a Spanish accent. So it's kind of interesting the way he's playing that character. I had to triple, quadruple take to see if it was the same actor even. Because, yes, they look alike, but no, they don't look alike.
Mannerisms.
Yeah.
That's called acting.
Yeah. So I'm going to dig his character, I think. So that's one of the things that this one brought us for sure.
Okay, I'm gonna say the 2 new character stuff were the best bits. even the Borg stuff to me was boring. So the character new bits were great. Everything else I think was treading water. I kind of feel like they said, right, we've got 3 episodes to tell the story, but we can't, each of our plots have to be the same place at the same time. So we're not going to have any new information with the Borg, really. We're just going to do a little bit of this treading water. Can't really do anything new. And it kind of didn't get anything I wanted in this episode. But the new...
Well, I'm glad you liked the captain, because you said last time that you didn't think you were going to like him. I did enjoy seeing Hugh again after having just watched Iborg and Descent. It was great to see him back. He still walks the same. It's still very much Hugh. One thing that confused me, though, I mean, he kept his name Hugh, which is the name that, Beverly and Geordi gave him, where they're giving the other people that they've deborgified back their original names. So somebody mentioned last night in my first reaction video that perhaps he was one of the Borg babies that was in the maturation chambers. Maybe he never was assimilated, never had a name.
That was his chosen name when he started being a person. So he'd rather keep his new, because he doesn't remember who he was, doesn't have a sense of who he was. Not even in Descent or Iborg do we ever get a sense he remembered his past. So I think he was just very much, this is who I became. I don't need to be Eldad of the Chitakan. I'm actually Hugh. This is who I've been. And especially with the lore stuff, it's like that might have been 6 months of him being him.
So did he say, this is who I am?
Yes.
This is who I am. I thought some of the Borg stuff was a little bit weird, especially Ramda. I kind of called that she was a fortune teller kind of vibe, and with those cards, it still came across as strange. Found out there's no word for mythology in Romulan, which is interesting.
And Hugh was fine. Good to see him back. And I love how they just handled him like, it's nothing. That was good. It wasn't like a special deal. But he didn't add much. He didn't have anything to do, really. But also, if you look at Iborg, he was a blank slate leading into a character, and Descent, he had nothing. So he was better than Descent, but he was, the Hugh character was never really particularly fleshed out. It was the journey, not the destination. So to see the destination, he was fine. I think he'll get a lot better, but he hasn't played this sort of non-role in 25 years. But yeah, I love how they handled him, just didn't give him much to do.
Soji's mom is, we can probably safely say, a hologram or some kind of program, because it essentially lulled her to sleep when she started asking about Daj, which I thought was really strange and not handled well. Because one thing I really enjoyed about this was all the Canon exposition from the one ENH, the Emergency Navigational Hologram, listing off Picard's accomplishments, contact with the Borg, or contact with the Q, stop the Borg invasion of Earth, the arbiter of whatever for the Klingons. So I thought that was really good. So we got some canon stuff in there, which is great.
It wasn't it wasn't the world building stuff that last week's was, where there was expanding on what happened to the Borg and such. It was more just, look, you guys
this is his resume.
Yeah, which is fine, and that was. I mean, let's talk about the captain then. So last week I said I didn't like the look of him. Now, him himself, was a medium, but the gimmick I thought was genius. Him being a loner, but having his emergency hologram crew, all of which look like him, all of which different personalities, and he gets to just talk to himself. That's a wonderfully interesting thing to do. So I thought that was great. Him himself is fine, We'll get to like him. I like that he wasn't being as much of a dick as the trailers implied. And I like Picard saying, you are Starfleet. So I like, if there's this core Starfleet to him, that he's just been betrayed, that he can sort of regain that proper structure, which I think they're implying he will. So I like the possible journey, but I don't like the rogue for rogue's sake. He wasn't as charming as Han Solo, or as he was fine. But I liked his interactions with other people. They were great.
Being a former executive officer or commander on a starship, a heavy cruiser, which I found odd again. I mean, heavy cruisers are referenced in Starfleet battles and things like that, but not really in Trek itself. It's usually, he would have said you were an XO on a Galaxy class ship or something.
Well, they didn't want to invent a name, rather just a class.
I know.
But that was truly interesting, because they explained that you wouldn't have heard of it because they wiped all records of it.
And why, though? We need to find that story out.
That could be flashbacks in and of itself.
Yeah.
And that could be two Romulans, that could be Supernova. That'll be a good story. That'll be a good story.
And even, the last time I had a captain, all I picture is their brains and their blood all over the bulkhead. It's like, okay, there's a story there.
Yep.
And the captain's name wasn't mentioned, which is interesting because it might be somebody that we actually have heard of, maybe. Maybe it's a familiar name. That would be kind of neat. But, yeah, I'm interested to hear more of that tale. So, learning more about Raffi, really didn't learn much. She vapes, which is fine.
I'd rather she didn't. Well, it's actually
Right.
it's actually hallucinogenic drugs as well. Like, she's a druggie. Full-on drug addict.
and an alcoholic.
Mm-hmm.
And she says some things never changed. So apparently this was a thing for her for quite a while.
Well, that was in the ready room. She said she was, after her mum left and whatever, she became a huge addict, and then Picard helped bring her around, and then once he left, she became a big addict again.
Okay. I haven't seen the ready room yet, so.
No, yeah, she's very passionate about it because she thinks that the show shows that you can go to a dark place and yet still be functional and come back. Very unutopian and kind of hard to watch. Go from vaping to cigar. It's like, okay, well.
But I I do like the way that Picard deals with her. It's like, so you're doing your research?
No.
All right, here's all the information on Maddox. Carry on. It's like, because he knows that she's going to look through it and she's going to do her job because he knows her character so well. So I thought that was handled well. I'm not a huge fan of her character yet, though. I don't know if I will be. She didn't impress me really.
It's hard to love people that just play dark and sad and mopey. It's a journey, but it's like, okay, I'm watching this. Like, it wasn't fun to watch Picard be sad in episode 1. It was fun to watch him play around the cards with Data. It came across to me that they're trying to sort of add into the canon that she was his best XO ever. Like Riker, he was never really friends with Riker, but really, if you compare it to this lady, boy, she called him JL, and it was so impersonal, and she can make jokes with him, and it's like, oh no, she was once Riker was out, she was the true XO, and it's like, oh, really, we're gonna make that the best friend. So that felt a little bit like forced. I would have been better if they'd been more professional in the flashback, and then he had like reached out to her a few times over the 15 years, and they got more friendly, and then something happened to justify, once they're both out of Starfleet, they can relate to each other in a different way. That would have been better, I think, than just being so impersonal, because it just felt forced. He's never been that way. And also to an admiral. Can you imagine an admiral being that pally with a second in command on a ship?
Well, the one thing that really bothered me was the whole, the CNC's calling me. Well, that's just great. You resign, you hand in your resignation, I get fired. I'm like, well, why are you getting fired? What would you, I mean, yeah, you want to stick up for the escape plan, the rescue plan, you want to kind of do the right thing, but you wouldn't push it in that case because he just resigned. You want to stay in Starfleet where you can make a bit of a difference probably. Unless he threw her under the bus in the meeting saying, it was all her idea. Because I don't understand why she would have got let go from Starfleet. If anything, honestly, she would have got a demotion or she would have been put behind a desk where she can't do anything. I doubt very much they would have booted her out of the service. I think her leaving the service was her own decision. And she makes a big point of it later, like, I lost my security clearance. Well, is that why you quit? Or is that why you left?
The problem is, Starfleet is not a job. It's like it's like a military service. You don't get fired from the army. Yeah, the context felt so daft to me. She'd be demoted is worse than being let go in a sense, because then the disrespect of that. But I saw no reason at all why she would get fired, and court-martialed is one thing, demoted. Yeah, that felt very disingenuous. Like, we have to make her this thing. That's not how Starfleet works. If you do problems, you either get lowered in rank as a punishment, or you get sent to a prison if it's that bad. But the writers don't. They want it's plot driven by the present work. So that felt disingenuous.
That part really bothered me.
That was bad writing for sure. Now it might be revealed later, but it was bad in that scene. That bit.
And then there's Agnes and running into Commodore O wearing sunglasses, even though Vulcans have another set of inner eyelids because they live on Vulcan. But anyway.
Oh yeah, it's true. There's so much brightness. I mean, someone was saying that it's because she's from the universe and therefore has light sensitivity.
No. That's not a thing. But anyway.
It looked like she forgot to take them off. As the actress.
It did. Well, I assume because she's part of the super secret spy branch. Those are just X-ray glasses or lie detector glasses. You got like 16 feeds in one lens. The other lens has like the X-ray.
Like Doctor Who's Sonic sunglasses.
Yes, exactly like that. But in that scene, they couldn't even have her Commodore rank pip straight. It was crooked, which annoyed the shit out of me. Okay, I'm going to call it now. Agnes is now working for the Commodore just because the Commodore threatened her with her job or something, or mind melded with her. She's going to be reporting back to them on Picard's whereabouts and actions. And I'm sure at the end of the season, she's going to confess up to Picard, being like, I'm sorry, I've been, feeding information to the Commodore. So she's not a bad guy, per se, but she's being coerced to do something she doesn't really want to do.
Yep, 100%. 100%. And just one thing to clarify, people, when we did a live stream, people were saying that, people in the IMDb you should take as gospel. Well, I only said the Commodore was in one episode, so already proven that IMDb is incorrect. And yeah, that was an awkwardly edited scene. The fact that she took earbuds out, space earbuds, and then the world was with sunglasses, it felt so modern and so un-Star Trek. It was a very poor scene. And
the whole show so far has felt modern. From the writing to the vaping to the smoking, like it all is just modern day.
It's lost so much of its Star Trek-ness. It's very much it's a tonal reboot, but beyond that, it's a structure where people don't need to. This isn't the Star Trek universe; it's the universe where Star Trek people are in.
Seems like it, yeah.
And that's a shame, that's a shame because that scene felt really awkward. And yeah, I absolutely agree that the lady is now being coerced because she's introduced in the chateau. She walks in pre-holding a Romulan rifle, even though everyone in the strike force was inside the room and got knocked out. So there was no rifles outside of the room.
I thought that, but when I was talking about that last night on my first reaction video, if you go back and rewatch the scene, one of the Romulans gets knocked through that door, and I think his rifle flies through the door. Because that's the only explanation I can have for her having a rifle. Some people are calling that she's working with the Romulans, and it's how convenient that she beamed in with them essentially and had a rifle. It's like, no. It's convenient she arrived at that moment. However, she's not working with the Romulans. She's working with maybe a Romulan Commodore. But
yeah, that fight scene wasn't well handled. It was incredibly boring and just not interesting. And
yeah, it wasn't filmed well. It was hard to follow what the hell was going on.
So I didn't even register that they'd shot them out that door. So that makes sense. Thank you for pointing that out. But for me, I didn't get any sense of anything. And the fact there were guns hidden, and yet she takes them to a thing to hide, doesn't grab the gun. Like, you'd go to the guns first. It's just a pretty poor scene.
And the way that you lead into that scene, like, here's some bread, here's this, better than any replicator. Oh, I'm dropping something. And right as it goes over, and without skipping a beat, not even a second worth of screen time, he's like, they hit the alarm. It's like, holy shit, I know you're ex-Tel Shiar, but that needed at least a pause or two to get a feel for what the hell was going on.
There was no setup for that fight. It just happened. And ultimately, if they're that good agents, they could just sniper through a window and kill Picard. They could just bomb the house. They could just, they're not just going to run in with rifles and be stabbed easily. It felt so disingenuous and poor.
They're a strike force. You take out these 6 guys.
Call them Death Squad at one point.
Exactly. You take out these 6 guys. You should probably check the rest of the estate for more. Because I don't know about you, but if I was in charge of a special ops force like that, I'd send 6 in there, 6 in another location, and 6 in another location. These guys get the shit kicked out of them. You still got guys coming. I know one comes through the door later, but it was like, oh, everybody in the room is done. We're going to start talking now. We're not going to check any security feeds. Not that they'd show up anyway, but we're not going to go check visibly to see if there's anybody around.
They also didn't move tactically. They just sort of walked to a pew, or just bomb the house. Say it was a gas leak. You can hide stuff. There's easier ways. If you want, they obviously didn't want to kill him because I can't justify that. And yes, you could say it was just filmic conceit. But when John Wick in John Wick 1 fights a billion people, he's going to win, but he feels like it's a great fight and is in good danger. That's how you do it properly. This was a very poorly done scene. Just the editing, the pace, and the lack of story.
I'll agree with you that the editing and the pace was a little bit weird. However, I did have a good sense of enjoyment watching this episode. I've watched it a few times now, and I look forward to watching it again. So
they're spinning. This one episode was episode 3, spinning your wheels. It wasn't. What did we learn? On the Soji storyline. The thing I did like about the Soji storyline but you didn't need all those moments to get to it. Was that she's accessing information she doesn't know she has. So every scene we see her, she knows something that she shouldn't know, and then they say at the end, I just know stuff. So that was fun. That was an interesting plot thing. But you didn't need to take that many moments to get there, and her saying you're the destroyer in this very long scene wasn't a good payoff, and it's kind of saying she's the destroyer. It's like, why are they both using that phrase? And why is this Romulan guy giving any information away? If they're the strike force, he wouldn't give any information away, and the Stratvash people or the Tasha should know that. It's a stupid scene. He should have. Why didn't he kill himself instantly? I mean, that entire is dumb. It just doesn't work.
I love how Picard's like, if you help us, I'll let you go. It's like, what are you gonna let him go do? Like, anyway.
He was an admiral. He should know, like, that wouldn't work. He should know there are only 4 lights. Start slapping him. You know how to torch someone, Picard. Terrible.
Yeah. And we did get a little bit of a reference for the Vulcan ridges. Oh, he's a stubborn northerner like you, and she slaps his head. I love that. So yeah, the northerners have a different ridgeline or whatever. That was nice.
Yeah, we also had the ultra rushed, I think I'm falling in love with you. It's like, it's only been like 4 days.
Yeah, the whole Borg bit on this episode wasn't impressive to me. Just seeing Hugh was great. Talking to Soji, that was fine. After that, it just kind of devolved into... Narek in this episode was god-awful. Last episode, he impressed me. This episode, he was, like, not good at all. Even talking to his sister, it was just... Yeah, so, okay. There are things about this I don't like now that you made me talk about it. But overall, it's still pretty enjoyable. I just cut out all the Borg parts, essentially.
You should.
Except for Hugh. I like him first talking to Soji.
Yeah, for this Borg episode, you should cut to Hugh, her told to Hugh, which was great, and then her with the destroyer end bit with the Borg lady. That's it. Those are 2 bits you need. Everything else just completely cut away. Completely extraneous. And I also reasonably liked the end, although knowing that they go back to the chateau devalues the end, them saying, let's go. Because I'm like, oh, we're going to be back. Because I thought it'd be, if it's that easy to go back and forth.
I think the Agnes thing at the end where she shoots the Romulan was meant to be a little bit of a misdirection, because for a second I thought, oh, 709's here.
Well, yes. Sorry.
Nope.
That was daytime.
Dashed.
So.
Well, yeah, I know, but yeah, I'm getting kind of sick of the chateau personally myself.
It's not adding anything. And this episode in particular, I do get a sense that the limitations of what Patrick Stewart can do physically are really coming to a head, because he's just in rooms talking to people about plot, not really doing much. And if you haven't got plot progression stuff, like last week's Borg stuff or first week's Soji stuff, you see the draw limit factor. And we're here to see Picard, not these other characters. And so seeing the robot lady come back and have more conversations about herself, it's like, I don't really care yet. And the late start was better. But again, he beams to the ship, talks to the dude for a few minutes, beams to the talks to this. I mean, it's just so much the same thing. Like I say, it was a poor episode for me overall. But I like the thing that impressed me, like I said, was the hologram doctor and EC8, whatever. That was good. That was genuinely a clever idea. It was well executed. I think that's going to be really a lot of fun. Although the ship's pretty nothing. It'll be the least memorable ship in Trek in terms of hero ship.
I don't have an issue with it having a view screen that's a window because of the size of it, and it's kind of like a runabout feel, so I don't mind that. But yeah, other than that...
Honestly, I think the Discovery is better. The outside design. At least it has more, like, trekkiness, even though the cells are, as I mean, 30% too big. This one just has nothing.
Well, guys, I guess that's it for our spoiler full review, or a quick one anyway. We're going to be doing a full scene-by-scene breakdown later this evening at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so tune in for that. We love talking about this, and breaking it down scene-by-scene with pictures and everything is great because we cover a lot of things. Few little Easter eggs here and there that you might not have noticed. So,
well, and the fact is, no episode is good nor bad. When you look at it, because each scene can be good or bad, there can be shots that just blow your mind. They effect shots that you don't realise. So those things are worth taking into account, even if the general might be good or might be amazing.
Yeah. So, comment down below what you thought of this episode. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Which opinion do you agree with, mine or Samuel's? Are there things you noticed that we didn't, which we probably did? We'll do that at the live, though. I don't want to make this too long. So anyway, guys, comment down below. Hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe. And don't forget to hit the bell notification icon and select all notifications so that you actually maybe hear from YouTube once in a while.
That would be nice. That'd be shocking and nice.
That would be great, yeah. So.
And of course, Patreon, we really do rely on that support, financial support, because a lot of this stuff, all these things we do don't earn us enough money to keep going. But with the support of you guys, in the numerous ways, all put together, it does allow us to keep going. From the Super Chat lives to the Patreon to the single PayPal donations at trekyards@hotmail.com. That's the PayPal address. All those things legitimately allow us to keep going and do this content for you guys. And you know how much we release during a week for Picard and Discovery and such. If you want those to keep going, support is great. Or just liking, subscribing, as you said, and just watching all of our videos and sharing them. These things do make a difference.
Absolutely. So until next time, guys, I'm Captain Foley.
And I'm Commander Kongs. Bye,
See
guys.
you soon.